Greetings, duelists, and welcome to Toon World. So, for those who don't know, Toon World or Toons is a very iconic theme to the Yu-Gi-Oh series. It is first debuted in Spell Ruler or Magic Ruler, what it was called back then, which was our third main booster set of the Yu-Gi-Oh game, and it was piloted by the main antagonist of Duelist Kingdom, Pegasus. The really cool thing about Toon is that a lot of these Toon monsters revolve around iconic duel monsters from past eras, both from the anime and from the game in general. Uh, and I always liked this concept. I thought Toons was very cool, and it was very like it had a really nice gimmick that it tried to follow. When they made a second wave of support for this team, they gave them a lot of cards, like a lot of good cards at that. Like they gave them a monster summons from the deck, they gave them a monster summons from the hand. Ignoring summoning conditions, they gave them protection from a lot of cards. They had a lot of consistency, like between table contents, page flip, and bookmark. It was really hard to brick with this deck, or this like strategy. And it's funny because like this is not even once per turn, so you could filter around your deck. This indirectly became a Sky Striker card, like in the later years. And yeah, they even gave them a lot of disruption with their trap cards, a lot of really good disruption at that. Um, like this is an Omnigate. This shuffles the monster back to the deck. This is not even once per turn, which is a really funny thing to add to that. You also had board breakers in this archetype as well. The main problem I had with Toons, and the reason I think this never took off as a strategy, is 90% of these monsters have summoning sickness. For those who don't know what summoning sickness is, it is a term adapted from Magic the Gathering, and it is when the monsters are summoned, they cannot attack the turn they're summoned. There are a very few amount of monsters that can attack, like Dark Magician Girl and the 2 Ancient Gear Golem are examples. But, you know, these were not even the easiest ones to summon as well. Like, this required a tribute to special summon, which, hey, it's really good that you can special summon it. But, you know, this one doesn't even have a summoning condition, and it's a level 8 monster. So, it was really hard to OTK with this deck. And just playing the tempo game with this deck was not good in past eras, because the game was a little too fast for the gimmick you tried to do with these two monsters. And just relying on your Toon spell and traps to just get to your cards and like cycling through card advantage was just not good enough. So we got revealed a few new Toon monsters or a few new Toon cards, and we pretty much have to judge whether or not these cards are really good for the theme, or if they help with the summoning problem. So the first card we're going to talk about is Funny Dark Rabbit, which is a retrain of Dark Rabbit. So yes, Dark Rabbit is canonically a Toon monster. So this has the same stats, and this card reads: after this card is normal special summon, during your main phase this turn, you can normal summon one monster in addition to your normal summon or set, if the monster mentions Toon World. This card is treated as a Toon monster while Toon World is on the field. Once per turn, you can add to your hand or place face up on your field one Toon field spell or continuous spell for your deck. So this is essentially Ritual Beast Elder for Toon monsters, which it's not a bad thing to mention. This effect does bypass imperm or Veiler or like any form of negation for those wondering, um, which is already really good. Uh, so this effect to place a card is once per turn. It's not hard once per turn, and that will be very relevant with other cards that we talk about. Or it's also can be relevant in the fact if you have two funny dark rabbits. Let's say you open like multiples of these. Look, you can normal summon a funny dark rabbit, place a spell, summon another funny dark rabbit, place another spell. Well, actually you cannot do that because it is only a 2 monster while there's a spell. But it there is still some applications involving like it not being hard once per turn. And we'll get to those very soon. Really good card to begin with. This does place the original Toon World, which is not really that great. But this does place Toon Kingdom, which is protection for your Toon monsters. And you'll see later on that there is another card you can place with this card that is also very relevant. So next one is Evil Box, which is a retrain of Beef Curry Box. Beef Curry Box is another iconic monster to the theme, but it was just a fusion monster. They had, you know, 2 weird monsters as materials. But Evil Box, or Beef Curry Box 2.0, if you want to call it. So this effect reads, if you control Toon World, you can special summon this card from your hand, then you can add to your hand or set 1 Toon Trap from your deck. You can only use this effect once per turn. This card is treated as a Toon monster while Toon World is on the field. Once per turn, quick effect, you can target a card on either graveyard, place it on the bottom of the deck. So essentially this is basically a Toon extender. So far, these 2 monsters don't have Summoning Sickness, and 23 is a sizable amount of attack. This does not have the effect to attack directly though, so keep that in mind. You have to rely on other cards for that. But it is a 2 monster on the field, so it does have like the stipulations that you would have with other 2 monsters. Take note, setting a trap and summoning itself, it's all one effect. So like your opponent cannot imperm or Veiler this to set your trap or to add your trap. Ideally, you are going to set them because this just plays around more cards. This can get Ash Blossomed, something to keep in mind. Out of all these trap cards, the best ones are Toon Terror and Toon Briefcase. Toon Mask is a gimmicky one. And Toon Defense is not a really good one either. And you will notice later on that cards like Toon Defense are really just not that needed. So essentially, you're going to be setting these 2 traps. So, not a bad card. The Shuffling from Graveyard Disruption is also really good. We're in a format where Graveyard is very relevant, and Shuffling from the to the deck is the best form of removal. Like, just banishing face down would be the second best one. But yeah, I digress. Not a bad card at all. I don't know how many copies of this you will play in the deck, but you know, it's a really cool card nonetheless. Let's go with the third one. This one is Comicat, which is the monster shown on Mimicat. I still remember when Mimicat first got printed. Myself and a lot of other duelists were a little disappointed. We would have thought that this would have been great as a monster. And Konami delivered. They actually gave us the monster. So, Comicat, in my opinion, is the best card. Like, not only like design-wise and theme-wise, but it is also the best card, like, effect-wise. Let's read it together. This card is treated as a 2 monster while 2 worlds on the field. During the main phase, quick effect, you can tribute 1 monster. If you control 2 world, you can tribute 1 opponent's monster even if you do not control it. And if you do, special summon 1 monster from your hand or deck that mentions 2 world, ignoring its summoning conditions. You can use this effect on Copycat once per turn. This is the best card, in my opinion. Like, this is a consistency card. This card can summon Funny Dark Rabbit and Evil Box because they do mention 2 world in their text. So that already makes this card really good. The fact that it's a quick effect and you can tribute your opponent's monsters if you already control 2 world is also really good. This makes this a really hard disruption to just stop. Let's say you actually negate this card, you can still tribute for cost, even if you do not resolve to summon. So yeah, like, very cool card. Automatic 3 of. And if I'm not mistaken, if I'm reading this correctly, this can summon itself. Yes, you can only use this effect once per turn, but it doesn't say except Comic Cat. So whether or not that will be important, who's to say? But the fact that that can do that is kind of funny to me. All right, let's go to the next one. So we gotta do Field Spell. This is Toon World, the Perfect World. This card becomes 2 world whilst in the field zone. Once per turn, you can add 1 Toon card or 1 card that mentions a Toon card's name. So again, this, since this has this mention, this can add either of these. You can only use this effect of Toon World, the Perfect World, up to thrice per turn. Before resolving another activated card or effect, you can banish 1 Toon monster you control until immediately that card effect resolves. Also, you cannot banish monsters with that same original name with this effect of Toon World, the Perfect World for the rest of the turn. So there's a lot to digest here. The first thing I want to talk about is this right here. This effect right here. So the way this card is worded, this is very similar to Ryziel Cross. So this can actually step into any chain link. This does not start a chain, and this will just resolve. That's really, really strong. Because it essentially means that if your opponent tries to respond to you with any card, you can just dodge that card with your monsters. And it's up until the resolution of that card resolving, so the monster just comes back immediately. This is a really strong effect to begin with. Also, some of these monsters are once per turn, but they're not hard once per turn. Funny Dark Rabbit is not hard once per turn, if you remember that we discussed that. So if you have Toon World, the Perfect World, and a card is activated, take note, it also means your own cards. You can use this effect, banish Funny Dark Rabbit, and then use Funny Dark Rabbit to just place another card. Which is kind of silly to me. Now let's talk about another gimmick that this deck has. This can add itself. Unless I read this wrong, this can add more copies of Toon World, the Perfect World. And this is up to thrice per turn, but once per turn on the field. So you can essentially just activate one on top of it, activate one on top of it, and just add one after another. Very similar to Toon Table of Content, which is another really silly thing. I smell Sky Striker shenanigans, but you know, I could be wrong on that. Um, that was very funny to me. But this also means that you can activate, add, banish Funny Dark Rabbit, resummon Funny Dark Rabbit, place another new copy of Perfect World, and then just activate that Perfect World, which is another gimmick that you have. You essentially are adding 2 cards for free by doing that. So basically, this is a double, like a double add in itself, and this can add any Toon card. So you can add to table of contents, and to table of contents can just add you anything else. Yeah, this archetype is very, very, very consistent. I think it's really hard to break with these Toon cards, because you essentially have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 3, 15 1-card starters in this deck, just by the cards alone, which is pretty strong. Well, it's actually 18 if you count Comic Cat. Yep, we're off to a really good start here. Now let's go with the last one, and that one is Blue Eyes Toon Ultimate Dragon. I'm really happy they made this card. Before we talk about the card's effects and the stats, let's talk about the fact that this is a Blue Eyes monster. So cards from the Blue Eyes theme actually work with this card. Something to keep in mind. So the materials are Blue Eyes Toon Dragon and 2 Toon monsters. Must be special summoned from the extra deck by shuffling the above cards from your hand, field, and or graveyard into the deck / extra deck. Your 2 monsters can attack directly. Once per turn, you can add 1 Toon card or 1 card that mentions a Toon card from your graveyard to your hand. If your 2 monster is attacked during damage calculation, you can banish it until the end of the damage step. Really good card. I think this is one of the better boss monsters that we got from the deck. This card helps with a really big problem that the deck had before, and it is closing out games. Like I said, one of the biggest problems with Toons in the past was that a lot of these monsters had summoning sickness. So it was really hard to OTK your opponent or to just like win the game and close out games. Because of how hard it is to attack with these monsters. If you're going second, that means you were very behind. This card fixes that, because not only can this attack, like this doesn't have summoning sickness, this can attack directly. And not only that, this makes it so other 2 monsters can attack directly. Let's say you have this, plus this, plus this on the board. That's already almost game. Like, that's 7,900 damage. It is quite funny that it's not exactly 8,000, but I feel like they did that on purpose just to make sure that you don't like hard abuse this. Also, can we talk about the fact that this is not once per turn to summon? And you can shuffle from the graveyard. So let's say hypothetically you have Blue Eyes Toon Dragon and like 5 2s in your graveyard. You can just shuffle like Blue Eyes twice with those 2 monsters twice to summon 2 copies of Ultimate Dragon, because it doesn't say you can only summon 1 Blue Eyes Ultimate Toon Dragon per turn. And before you say that's really hard to do, I don't think it's really that hard to do. Like, you have a few of 2 monsters that can just spawn out other 2 monsters, like the Toon Dragon and the Dark Magician. And I want you to take note, this is not hard once per turn. So you can essentially do the Perfect World, banish the 2 Dark Magician, and then use the 2 Dark Magician to just resummon, like again. But yeah, Uh, this is Toon World in its entirety. Um, are these cards good enough to make tools like competitively viable? I don't think we're there yet. However, there are two cards missing from the new support that are to show to us. Uh, I am really scared of these cards. Uh, being soft once per turn on some of these cards could lead to some very gimmicky stuff. I just want to bring up something very a funny fact for people that probably don't know this. This card is forbidden in the OCG. And this effect to tribute a monster is not once per turn. And now we have cards that just help dodge, like cards that can negate this. So, whether or not that could mean problems in the future, that's left to be said or left to be in conclusion. But until then, keep practicing and keep dueling.